Hello and welcome to episode 150 of From Impossible to Inevitable. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me today and pushing play on today's episode. First of all, holy cow, it's episode 150. Bananas. I am continually amazed by this podcast, to be honest, and the fact that I have been able to be so consistent at it and so doing the thing. And we don't take enough time to celebrate our accomplishments in life. And so right now, I know 150 is my accomplishment. However, I want you to look around in your life right now and recognize yourself for something. There's something that you have done or accomplished, or you reached the halfway point, or whatever it is, you've done something, and acknowledge yourself for it. Just sit back and be like, yeah, I did that and I am awesome. So I encourage you to do that today. I encourage you to do that right now. Hit pause and acknowledge yourself for something that you have completed or that you have gotten to a certain point in, or whatever it is. Give yourself some recognition and some love for having done the thing. Okay. Today we are chatting about opposites. So this morning, as I knew I needed to record today, and I knew that this was a priority, I was like, okay, universe, what do you want me to talk about? And like always, the universe shows up. The universe always shows up. And I had this very clear inspiration to chat about opposites. Now, opposites are a part of life that I feel like we forget about sometimes. And we don't always forget about it, but I think we kind of forget about the context. So let me unpack this a little bit, right? So I'm in my basement and it is cold down here. It really is cold down here. And I'm uncomfortable by how cold it is. And of course, I would rather be warm, right? Warm is the opposite of cold. This is so basic. Come on, Megan, let's give us something good. Okay, but the thing is, my current experience of being cold, that's my current experience. But being cold lets me know that the opposite is also available. So I am cold right now. I want to be warm. That is available because it's opposite. And of course, it's there because there are opposites. So let me take this to a different realm, okay? In my day, I was feeling this way this morning. I was experiencing overwhelm. I was feeling really overwhelmed by the need to record podcasts, and I've got all this other stuff to do, and I'm building a new website, and like all of this, there's so much for me to do, and school's coming to an end, and blah, 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 all of this, overwhelm, overwhelm, overwhelm. So I'm in this experience of overwhelm. But knowing that I am in this experience of overwhelm, I also know that the opposite is available. So just as I can be cold and decide I'm going to turn the heater on, or decide I'm going to go sit outside in the sun, or decide to put on a sweater or whatever, I know that the opposite experience is available. So as I'm in this overwhelm, I get to acknowledge, okay, the opposite's available to me and I can have it. How do I create it? What's the opposite of overwhelm? This could mean different things to different people. I don't think there's like a concrete on that. But to me, it feels like ease. It feels like flow. It feels like a progression, a very easy, natural progression. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And there's this nice ease and flow to it instead of overwhelm feels just like things coming at you from all angles and you got to try to catch it or dodge it or whatever. And you're like all these jerky movements and go jumping from this one to this one to this one. And it's just sporadic and chaotic and it doesn't feel great. Whereas ease is just very flowy and very, it's not slow necessarily. I don't feel like ease has to be slow, but it feels like it's in a good rhythm. It's neither rushed nor slow. It's just the right pace. So I'm in overwhelm. I can identify it. I can identify I want the opposite, which to me feels like ease, feels like flow. And then I decide, how do I create that? Not I decide, I ask myself, how do I create that? And to me, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I am a go-to list maker. I am like, okay, let's write everything down. Everything that I feel like is coming at me, everything that I feel like is yelling at me, everything I feel like needs to be done yesterday. What are all of these things? And I write them all down and then I color code them based on categories like, okay, this is podcast, this is emails, this is, other stuff, this is personal, this is kids, blah, blah, whatever. I color code it so that I can see it all. I write everything down so it's not in my head. And then I get real quiet and I'm like, okay, what's the most important thing? Like, not what is the thing that needs to be done right now, not what's the urgent thing, what's the most important thing for me to do right now? And then I do that thing. And a lot of times you can do this one at a time. You can do that thing and then you can be like, okay, well, what now is the most important thing that needs to be done? And then you can do that thing and then you can keep going back and keep going back and keep going back. I prefer more of a list. Like I just made a list, but I prefer more of like, okay, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this and then I'm going to call it a day. That way, I don't feel like I'm on this endless hamster wheel of trying to get things done. I am giving myself the things that need to be done, and I am allowing that to be enough. And that creates the ease. It's not just a marathon of like I have to get all through all of this and run, 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 run. It's like I'm going to do these things and then I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to go pick up my kids. We're going to have dinner together. We're going to do homework. We're going to do whatever it is that we do. Maybe I'll play Zelda before I go to bed and it's going to feel really good. And tomorrow I can do more things. That's what that feels like to me. Okay, overwhelm, ease. But this works for whatever it is you're feeling. Okay, if you are in a state of fear or anxiety is one of the things that I struggle with a lot. I know that the opposite is available, and I know that it's available because I am feeling the anxiety. So there is an opposite to anxiety. I would call it peace or a knowing, honestly. I would call it a knowing. So I know that I'm feeling anxiety, and because everything has an opposite, I know that the knowing, the peace is available. I know it's there. I just have to figure out how to get to it. I have to figure out how to create it. I have to figure out how to move from this experience to this experience. And depending on the day and depending on the severity, this means different things. Maybe it means take your emergency anxiety pill. It could mean that. It could mean journaling out why I'm feeling anxiety and what I want to think about, focus on, believe instead. It could mean a variety of things depending on the severity, right? So resistance is another thing I feel a lot in my life. I've been feeling it less and less. The more I have leaned into following my heart, I guess you could say, and being guided and being led and doing scary things, resistance has really lessened. And maybe that doesn't make sense that resistance lessens as I do scary things, but it truly has been my experience. But resistance has been something that I've been very familiar with. And okay, I'm feeling resistance. So what do I want to feel instead? what is that opposite to me? And again, I know it's available because I'm feeling the resistance. So just by virtue of feeling one way, you know the opposite is available. You know that is an option. Does that make sense? Because there is an opposite. So you know that it's there. Like it's not, you don't have to doubt that. Because you're feeling one way, you know that the other way is available. Okay, so the opposite of resistance to me would be allowance, right? When I'm in a state of resistance, I'm pushing against it, usually emotionally, right? It's like it's usually something I have to do. I don't want to do it. Why don't I want to do it? Or maybe there's something that I want and I'm resisting, going after it. I'm resisting pulling the trigger on it. I'm resisting whatever. Okay, why? Why am I in this spot with resistance? What is causing this friction? And how can I move into a state of allowance? How can I allow myself to do that thing, have that thing? How can I allow myself to emotionally release the resistance and be more in this flow of allowance? There's chaos and order, right? I'm experiencing chaos in my life right now, and I know that order is available. How do I create that order? There's doubt and there's faith. I'm in doubt right now. Faith is available. How do I create that? How do I experience that? There's heaviness and lightness. I'm feeling so heavy right now. How do I feel light? How do I create that experience? And depending on what it is that you are currently feeling, the severity, the intensity, the things that are going on in your life, I think that will vary greatly with how you move from one end to the other end. It could be journaling, it could be listening to music, it could be meditation, it could be visualization, it could be my go-to questions like, what can I do differently? I am feeling so much resistance. What can I do differently to feel allowance? It could be, how can I see things differently? How can I see this situation differently? How can I use this perspective shift to create what I want to create? Now, a good note here is we're not necessarily going from one extreme to the other extreme. If you can make that shift, that's amazing. Do it. But sometimes it's just, I'm overwhelmed. I just want to be in a little bit more ease. I just want to move in the direction of ease. I'm feeling resistance and I just want to move in the direction of allowance. I just want to feel better. I want to feel more in flow. I want to feel more, you know, more faith-filled. I want to feel lighter. Sometimes it's more of a gradual thing. And you can move gradually throughout the day. You can move gradually throughout the week. You can move gradually throughout your life. Like I was saying about the resistance, I have felt a ton of resistance in my life within my own body, and it has greatly lessened. I don't feel resistance as often, as intensely as I used to, but this has been a process over years of gradually moving to this state of allowance. So don't beat yourself up if you can't go from overwhelm to ease like that. It can be a process. Of course, today I went from overwhelm to ease, and I've done it before. I've practiced this. I have this is something that I regularly do when I am in overwhelm, and I know what works for me. So as you move from one opposite to the other, it's going to be a practice. It's going to take some time. The more you do it, the better you'll get. And it's okay that the change happens gradually. It's okay that it happens over time. Don't make yourself wrong or bad or whatever for it to take as long as it takes. Again, if you can do it quickly, then do it quickly. That's great. Make that shift, make that change, and do it. The big takeaway here, though, on opposites. Because a lot of the times, hang on, before we get to the big takeaway, a lot of the times we get to this space where all we can see is our experience. All we can even fathom is our experience. This level of severity and intensity happens to me with anxiety, where it's like I am in this anxiety spiral and I can't see anything else. I can't see any possibilities. I can't see any, like, all I see is anxiety. And it's like I'm going around with blinders on. All I can see is the anxiety. All I can feel is the anxiety. I cannot feel like the knowing, like the peace is even there. Like I can't even see it. That's when it gets real, real, real bad. That's when it's like, okay, let's take our emergency anxiety pill and let's chill out. Um, so the big takeaway is in knowing, remembering, reminding yourself that when you're feeling one way, when you're having one experience, you don't like it, you don't want it, the opposite is available. And it's available because these things come in pairs. They come in pairs. Nobody would, okay, so if I handed you a handful of quarters and they all were heads up, you wouldn't look at these quarters and be like, but there's no tails. Of course there are. They're just on the other side. So think of it like that. If you are looking at the tails end of things, that seems appropriate. If you're looking at the tails end of things, the heads is there. It's absolutely there. It's absolutely available to you. You just have to figure out how to flip the coin. You have to figure out how to make the change, how to shift. How do you create the opposite experience? It is there. It is available. You just have to move into it. And that's kind of the trick. And different methods and different modalities will work for different things and different experiences, different severities. And also if it's happening all within you or if it's external events that are influencing you, all of these things are going to play a role. They're all going to make an impact, right? Sometimes I can journal through anxiety. Sometimes I need some medical assistance, right? None of it's wrong, but you have to be able to recognize that you may not have one go-to method of moving from the tails end of things to the heads end of things. But the heads end of things is there. It's there. It's there, it's there, it's there, and it's available to you. You can have it. You just have to figure out how to create it, how to shift into it, how to change your experience to that. That will require you do something differently, you look at things differently, you are open to different possibilities, different ways of seeing things, different ways of doing things. You have to be open to making a change in order to experience something different, right? Does that make sense? Okay, this has been a rather excellent episode on opposites, if I do say so myself. A most excellent number 150 on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I send you all of my love. Until next time. Bye for now.